I have the pleasure today to speak with Louie Sharp, owner of Sharp Auto Body in Illinois. He's a business consultant for body shops. He speaks at events. And after you hear him today, you're going to understand why people would want to go hear him talk because he's so good. He talks about the amazing success he has had in his business and the key to all of that success. I'm telling you, this one is moving. There's so much good information. I literally have like 2 pages of notes from us talking. So much good stuff. Here it comes.
Welcome to Body Bangin', your podcast for all things body. Auto body, that is. And now, introducing Body Bangin's host, Mickey Woods of Mickey Woods Marketing. Mickey is a former auto collision center owner and is now a marketing and business development expert to shops across the globe.
Hello and welcome to today's episode of the Body Bangin' podcast, one of the largest growing podcasts in the collision industry, all thanks to you guys. So if you're not already subscribed, make sure you subscribe on YouTube. Make sure you're following on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, whatever your favorite podcasting platform is, so you don't miss episodes when they go live. We are going to jump right into it today because we have some really cool things to talk about. Gosh, we could probably talk for hours. This is my buddy, Louie Sharp. Hi, Louie.
Hey, Mickey, how you today?
Great. I'm so excited to get you on here and chit chat. For those of you guys that don't know Louie, so Louie owns a shop. He's been in the collision industry for almost 45 years. So he's got Sharp Auto Body. They are in Island Lake, Illinois. He also does professional business speaking. He's a consultant for shops all across the world, the universe. And I actually got to know Louie because he started joining our collision cocktail hour calls that we do every month with independent shop owners across the US. And I noticed when Louie would talk, everybody listened. And you always bring something that's so good, Louie.
Well, thank you. That's very kind. I appreciate that.
Yeah, really, seriously. When I see you pop up on the screen and your little box lights up, I'm like, oh, this is going to be good. It's going to be good, folks.
Thank you.
So, Louie, we talked a little bit before coming on today, and we were kind of talking about different things that we can talk about. And there's so much we could talk about. And one of the things you had discussed with me is he's a former Marine. So how long were you in the Marine Corps for, Louie?
20 years, Mickey.
20 years. Wow. So I know you had a real big mindset shift along the way of becoming who you are today. And I'm sure it continues to shift and you continue to grow and change. And like most people, when you start to have these kind of epiphanies and perspective shifts, it really changes life for you and your business. Don't you think?
Oh, without a doubt. And I can tell you that for me, the big thing, there's 2 big shifts that happened because of the Marines.
Mm-hmm.
One of them was the importance of being able to accomplish things you never thought, right? When I went in the Marines, it gave me such self-confidence and self-esteem because I accomplished things I thought I would never be capable of.
I bet.
And just getting through boot camp was one of those. And then the other thing that it gave me a true passion for is a heart of service, right? Mm-hmm. When, there's the old saying that people in the military have signed a check with their life to protect our rights, our country. And so one of the things I think most business owners lose sight of is I really believe our business is our spiritual practice. I believe our business is how we serve people, how we help people, and how we heal people. And we shouldn't take that for granted. And I can tell you that I wake up every day and I say a simple prayer, God, send me one person to help today. And there's always at least one person shows up. Sometimes there's more. And I think that that's why we're in business, to help and serve others.
I love that. I think that's beautiful. The heart to serve. And oftentimes we get lost in the busyness of what we do and forget what it's really about. So I love the fact that you take a moment every day to actually pray that it comes to you and to keep it top of mind. Because like with anything, it can be great if you do that today. But if you're not doing it every day, how quickly you forget why you're doing what you do.
Yes. And I also think, Mickey, it's very easy for us you bring up a great point, to fall in that rut where the person coming through the door that's had a damage to their vehicle is just another client. No,
Right.
this could be the
Right.
very first accident they've ever had.
Right.
I've shared a couple stories, but we've got one right now where the car owner came in, and the dad came in with the son, and it's the son's car, and there was something funky. I knew something was up, right? I play from my heart, so I could sense something with the son if something was out of whack. And then the son left the room, and the father says, just so you understand, he was very close to his mother. This was his mother's car. This is the last thing he has from his mother, and his mother passed less than a year ago.
Oh.
Now, right, now, I can tell you there's a number of people that over the years, I've been in this situation before. So I've actually done repairs for free. So I had a mom that it was less than 30 days. She had her son's car, got rear-ended. Less than 30 days earlier, her son had passed, like in his early 20s. She's got this car. She doesn't want it totaled.
Yeah.
So I didn't turn all the information into the insurance company, but I fixed all the damage. And that's what I think we can show up to serve, right? But we got to take the time to spend with people so we hear the story, so we know the story, because it's not just another wrecked car. There's people behind it.
100%. Absolutely. I agree with you 100%. So when you're doing consulting with shops, is that something that you feel like you don't need to, but that you feel compelled to talk about? Is that something you talk about with pretty much everybody you're consulting?
Yes. Without a doubt. Everything. Here's something really funny, Mickey. Maybe it's not funny, but it's what's been true for me. Every business owner, doesn't matter what industry I've consulted with, every one of them, we need to start working on them first before we can go fix the business stuff, right? Because we all have our baggage, our triggers, whatever you want to call it. And so when you can get the business owner to start becoming aware of what he's doing or she's doing and how they're showing up in the world, it has a great impact on how they start running their business.
Yeah.
And yet right now I'm in the middle of writing my next book. It's called Leadership and Love. And one of the things I want to get people to understand is you can lead without having to be a jerk. You can lead without having to be an arrogant, dominating son of a gun. Right. And really the best way to lead, and the greatest leaders the world has ever known, have all been leaders that led with love, and none of them used violence, and none of them used guns. When you think about Mother Teresa, Mahatma Gandhi, Martin Luther King Jr., none of them were perfect people, but they all led with this thing called love and nonviolence. And so we don't need to yell at employees. We don't need to yell at our customers. We don't need to yell at insurance adjusters or insurance agents. We can do all of that with love, and it changes the game.
Yeah. Absolutely. I think that's a little bit of a mic drop moment, honestly, when as I reflect on everything and how powerful, because the second you bring in the aggression, the anger, well, what is somebody naturally going to do? They're going to kick back. So where are you going to get with that? And oftentimes, we see that in our everyday lives. Welcome to social media. It's so inflammatory.
Right. And that's the ego rising up to fight the ego, right?
Yes.
That's not the heart. That's the head, not the heart.
Right.
And I'll tell you just a quick story. I had an adjuster that was out. This is years ago now. He was out, and he was on, we'd had hailstorms. So he's out from out of state, and he's out to look at a vehicle. And he's just cantankerous, right? He's just in a bad mood. He's been on the road for 2 or 3 months, been away from his family, eating restaurant food, right? Nothing's going good in his life. And everywhere he goes, somebody's chewing his ear, called body shop owners and estimators. And so he's kind of just rattling away. And he stops talking. He's just writing. So all I did was focus on love. I was just, I'm love. I'm sending him love. I can tell you in a couple of minutes, when he opened his mouth, he was a completely different person.
Wow.
He was like night and day. He was completely different. And so I challenge people, just try it. Just try it. You'll be amazed at what happens. Send people that you don't like or somebody that's upset you. Send them blessings, healing, light, love, abundance, whatever, anything positive. Just think about sending them those things, and you'll be amazed at how everything in your life starts to change. Everything.
You're singing my tune. Like, you give me the goosies. Like, I agree. I couldn't agree more. And actually, I had Walt Silman on. It's been a while, and so he has a shop. He's non-DRP. He was on Collision Cocktail Hour for a while, but he had a baby, so now he hasn't been able to make it on. No DRPs, repairs vehicles per the manufacturer procedures. And he spoke something very similar, said it in a different way, but same type of message. Is he really gets to know these people. He learns about their families. He learns about what their hobbies are and talks with them like they're real people. And he gets so much farther. Now, granted, he's doing things against the grain of the way the insurance company wants him to do it. Yet he still accomplishes the mission.
So I can tell you the hair in the back of my neck just went up. I can tell you that that's because what you can accomplish with love does not know the boundaries or the BS of the industry or of the economy, right? If you were ever I'm onboarding a new GM, and the first thing he asked me is, why does everybody hug you? I have clients that come in and they hug me, right? And that's because of that same thing, because I'm on third generations in some families, but some of my clients have become some of my best friends, right? And we do social things, but when you treat them because you truly care, this is what I tell people. This is a great story. I went to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and that night before I went, in the hotel bar, there was like an 88-year-old piano player.
Wow.
A little old black guy.
Yeah.
But he could play anything: jazz, blues, country, pop, jazz, and could sing his butt off.
Yeah.
So I asked a cocktail waitress, I said, hey, can I buy him a drink? And she said, he doesn't drink anymore, but he'll let you buy him a cup of coffee. And so he comes over and we're having a cup of coffee. And now I'm a guitar player, been playing guitar, been in bands my whole life. So we're just chatting about music, right?
Yeah.
And then out of his mouth comes this great piece of wisdom. He said, music from the heart touches the heart. And I've since morphed it into anything that comes from your heart will touch another heart.
Yeah.
And so when you come from that place of caring from your heart, people can't not feel it.
Right.
They can't not feel it. Even if they're not aware, they feel it.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. It's so true. So what do you have to say? Because I'm on board. I'm buying what you're selling. I'm picking up what you're putting down. And I also can hear the body shop owners being like, that's a bunch of foo-foo, new agey. Who does that? We got a business to run.
So I can tell you that life is either easy or hard, and you get to pick how you're going to play the game. And so I can tell you, much like Walt, I'm living in the same game. Yeah. Last year, I did over $1.5 million in wrecked cars in a town of less than 8,000 people.
Wow.
And I have no DRPs. I have not had DRPs for 15 years. I'm always certified, and we look up the repair procedures. We're doing all the things we're supposed to be doing.
Right.
And I can tell you, I'm doing it from a place of caring and wanting to help people. Now, do I win every battle with the insurance company? No. The customers pay for stuff out of their pocket? Yes. I actually turn repairs away because I tell the client at the end of the day, look, they're not even paying enough money for me to make this vehicle safe.
Right.
But that I can tell you that integrity, that kind of advertising, and I love you. I love this conversation because you know what I'm about to say. That's the kind of advertising you can't pay for.
That's right.
That's priceless. They're going to tell everybody, you know what? These guys refused to fix my car because they told me it wasn't going to be safe. They couldn't make it safe with the $3,000 the insurance company wants to pay when they've got a repair plan for $15,000.
Right. 100%. I love that.
Right.
Well, and I think people are afraid, like we had talked before about breaking free. And part of that breaking free is from this idea of the way that things need to be in a body shop. And what I hear you're saying is breaking free from, well, a lot of things, from fixing the vehicle the way the insurance company says, because that's what they say to do. When you're doing it from the heart, you're fixing it the way that it should be repaired. And there's a fear on the body shop side. Well, if I do that, then I upset the customer. I anger the customer because it's more inconvenient. And I think the key component here that you have tapped into that's a game changer is when you're doing it with the right intention, that changes the whole game.
Without a doubt. And I can tell you that if you came into my shop, you know what my biggest concern is? That if I put you back in that vehicle, that you, your husband, and your children are all going to be safe.
Right.
In the event of day-to-day use, in the event that there's another accident.
Right.
I truly care about you being protected and safe. And I take that very seriously.
Right.
Because I think that's much like, I've never been able to stand by and watch injustice.
Yeah.
And so I think it's tragic that there's body shop owners out there fixing these cars, and it's a great injustice to the car owner on so many levels. And so I think that's how I approach doing business. Any business is we're responsible for the people we're taking care of. And again, we're here to serve them, help them, and protect them because they don't know what they don't know.
100%. 100%.
Yeah.
And who's going to tell them? The only thing that they know is what they're being told. So if they're not hearing a different perspective, a different way to look at it, how would they ever know?
Right. And now I'd like to tell you that I've been blessed with this thing called time. And so one of the things when I have been, one of the things I'll tell you is somebody asked me recently, why do I wear a lot of stuff like a baseball hat or a T-shirt that says Marines on it? Because I buried some really good men, some of the best men I ever knew, and they didn't get the opportunity of time. And so I remind myself with those kinds of things that I have to be my best every day because they don't get the chance. My point to this is when you ask me about the Marines, shop owners in every industry have to be brave enough to be the point of the spear. We have to lead the charge for what's right, for what's just, for what's fair. And I think that when we do that, the market will almost automatically start to come to you. You don't have to do a whole lot of advertising. And when we do those things, it's priceless. It's priceless. And what I was going to say with time is there was a time when I first started in this industry. I was 23 years old when I opened Sharp Auto Body.
Wow.
I started in a one-car garage with no heat, no running water, my toolbox, and a 12-inch masking machine, $500. That's what I started Sharp Auto Body with. I'm the American dream. But I can tell you that back in those days, all you had to do was hang out a shingle and people would come through the door. Well, those days are gone. And my biggest complaint with body shop owners is they're too damn lazy. Get off your ass and go out and do some work called marketing. Right? You don't need a DRP. If you learn a little bit about marketing, if people like you, the company that you run, people like me, what we're sharing is things that'll get them there a whole lot faster, a whole lot easier than doing all the other wacky stuff that they think has to be done called DRPs or used parts and aftermarket parts, because there is a way. And here's what's really powerful, right? If you have a dream or a goal and nobody in the world's accomplished it, then you're really up against it. That doesn't mean you can't do it, but you're really up against it being the first. But I can tell you that there are shop owners like myself, like Walt, who are running their businesses very profitably with very happy employees, with satisfied clients, making money every day. Yeah. And so it's possible. Yeah. So give up the excuses of I can't, I won't, the insurance company won't let me, blah, blah. All that is just excuses. It's just trash talking to yourself. And that's why I said you got to almost start with the owner's mindset, right? Because they got to get out of that. To your point, it's woo-woo to love. Okay, then you spend the rest of your life yelling at people. And here's what I've learned. How you do one thing is how you do everything. If you're yelling at your employees at the shop, you're going home and yelling at your wife and kids. Right. So your life isn't pretty anywhere. Yeah. And the only place to look is in the mirror because the only person responsible for fixing it all is you. Yes.
Wow. That was so good. I feel like we need to rewind it, like for that last minute and a half, whatever that was, starting with the time. The time component. You have time. So many people don't have time. We don't know what tomorrow brings. We're blessed with today. We're blessed with the now. What are we going to do with that? It's so powerful. And we gloss over it. Like we think we're just going to live forever. Like everybody has we live the dash. This day to this day. And we live the dash. And whatever that dash is, make the best of it. Make the most of it. That was, the way you said that was so beautiful. And then also the excuses. Everybody's got excuses why they can't. No, it won't work for me. Ho hum. You hear it I'm sure. And
Right.
when do we get to the point where enough is enough? Enough excuses.
Right. And I can tell you, one of my favorite quotes is by Jim Rohn. You can't let other people do your push-ups for you.
You
I can
can't
tell you.
you can't let other people do your push-ups for you. I love that.
Right. And or you can't even hire somebody to do your push-ups. But one of the things, when I consult people, I have a money-back guarantee. Money-back guarantee. I guarantee they're going to make 10% more profit and 20% more time off in 90 days, or I give them their money back.
Wow.
But here's what I want you to understand, Mickey. I want you to understand something. I have a very, very good vetting process. Because I'm only going to work with people. I guarantee you're going to get there if you're willing to do the push-ups.
That's right. Right.
If you've never had a coach, if you never hired a Mickey and her company to help you grow your business through their marketing strategies, if you've never done any of those things, I'm not working with you. I don't want the virgin, because the virgin's going to think I'm going to wave some magic wand or send them some pills in a jar, and they're going to take the pills and bam, they're going to wake up 90 days from now and things are going to be better.
Right.
That's not how it works.
Yes, that's right. Well, they understand the value. They truly understand the value of what you're bringing to the table. And I run into that same thing in my marketing company. Some people get it and some people don't. And that's okay. Everybody has their choice. But like you said, if I'm investing all of me into you, then I want you to understand the value of what I'm bringing to the table and be bought in, because we're in this together. And you clearly have the same mindset, which I already knew because I love you. You're awesome.
well, and you bring up a very valid point, and part of it, they look at it as an expense instead of an investment.
Exactly.
And one of the things that's amazing about people like you is your network. So if I invest in your company to help you grow my business, I've now just tapped into a bunch of other people in the industry that you could connect me to that I might be struggling with something else.
Yes.
And there's that added value that people don't see in the power of that relationship.
Yes.
Again, it's that love thing, right?
Yeah.
Because you're loving on your clients because you see it as a team effort. And that's how I see it too. We're all in this thing together.
Yeah.
And when everybody wins, everybody wins. And now because of that love, you're going to share your network with them. The Barrett Smiths that and the Waltz and the other people that have gone from one shop to multiple shops, or how they transitioned out, or their exit strategy. You've got, I forget his name. I was on his podcast. He's gonna hate me, but he's on the cocktail. He's on the cocktail hour.
Rick.
I can see.
Rick Sellover.
Yeah. And even people like that. So that's it. That's what you get when you connect with people like you, who are amazing, because you're already playing this life game at a higher level.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Now, we talked a little bit, I'm going to switch topics a smidge, but we talked about your clients that you work with and you yourself having a unique selling proposition. And it ties in with what I think we're talking about right now, setting yourself apart, making sure you have a unique selling proposition. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure, I'd be happy to. Let me preface that by saying, to have a unique selling proposition, you have to have a target market. Most people, but here's a great mindset shift that business owners need to make. You are not after everybody.
Yeah.
Right now, there's almost 9 billion people on the planet. You can't serve them all. Right. You can't serve everybody that's got a wrecked car. You can't serve everybody that needs their car repainted. So who's your target market? You want to get very specific on your target market. You could be, so as an example, I'm Dodge Jeep certified.
Right.
So one of the places I market is Jeep clubs. Jeep owners really loyal to that brand. Yeah. I mean, crazy loyal to that brand. And so now I've got a target market.
Right.
Called Jeep owners. Now what I'm going to do, and today, this is how cool this is in today's world. So what I did was, I teach people now. In the old days, I'd have them call that target market and I'd have them ask, what is your client's concern when they have an accident? So you'd call Jeep owners and say, hey, when your Jeep's in an accident, what's your number one concern? Well, I can tell you today, you don't need to do that. You go to Chat GPT and you say, when a Jeep owner's had an accident, what's their biggest concern? And it's going to list 7, 8, 9, 10 things that are their concerns. And then the way you Yeah. And then the way you build your unique selling proposition is you come up with your solution to their pain points when their Jeep's been in an accident.
Yes.
So if the number one thing is certification and you're not certified, you go out and get certified.
Mm-hmm.
If the number one thing is not having another car to drive, build your loaner car fleet, right? But your solution to their pain point is your unique selling proposition.
Yes.
This is hugely powerful. You can cut your marketing budget in at least in half and grow sales faster than ever before because you're going to a specific market with a specific message.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that happens is people always start pushing back. But Louie, they can have more than one target market, right? They could be doing Jeeps, they could be doing Chrysler minivans, they could be doing Rolls Royces, whatever.
Yeah.
But each one of those target markets probably has a different, unique selling proposition.
100%.
If I'm a Rolls Royce owner, I have a completely different concern about collision repair than I do if I'm a Jeep owner.
Yes.
And one of the things to make this simple for everybody, I mentor high school kids.
Mm.
And one of the things I tell the boys is if you want to date the prettiest girl in school, and I get that the prettiest girl in school is a subjective thing, but you don't run up to her and ask her out. You don't run up to her and say, hey, would you like to go to a war movie and get some Chinese food? You get next to her girlfriend and you ask, hey, what kind of food does she like? And you find out she likes Mexican. And you find out she likes romantic comedies. Then you approach her someday and say, hey, I've seen you around school. You're really pretty. You're always got a smile on your face. So I wonder if you'd like to get together and go to a movie and have dinner. There's this great new Mexican restaurant open that I'd love to try. And there's a new romantic comedy with Adam Sandler and Drew Barrymore. And I think that would be a lot of fun. And in her head, the bells and whistles are going off and she's thinking, God's finally delivered me my guy. Well, your clients are going to think the same thing.
Right.
You're going to hit the bells and whistles in their head because you're going to be answering the things that they've already told you are their pain points around having their car fixed for that target market.
Yeah, 100%. Well, you're speaking my marketing language, so I love all of it. You're talking to the right girl. Yeah.
I know, you get it. That's it's that like-minded thing, right?
Yeah.
And once you have some of this knowledge, you can use it for the rest of your life.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to interrupt this podcast for just one quick second because a lot of people wonder, Mickey, what is it that you even do besides host a podcast? Well, I do marketing, and really the biggest thing that I do is help you drive more traffic to your business. And not even just more traffic, but consistent traffic to your business. As a former shop owner, I know how important that is. So if that's something you're interested in, or you just want to talk about marketing or developing your business in general, feel free to reach out. You can visit collisioncentermarketing.com. There's a calendar on there, and you can just book a time that works for you, and we'll set up a phone call. Or you can email or call me, and my notes are down in the description of this episode. But I hope to hear from you. I'd love to help you build your business. But in the meantime, you better get back to this podcast because it's really good. A lot of industries use ChatGPT, so I'm glad you mentioned it. It's a free platform. You can upgrade for all the robustness, but you can use it for free. ChatGPT, you can go there, just create an account and pop right in. And there's so much information you can get there. And I agree with you that so many shops want to be, because that's the way we were before. When I owned my shop, gosh, it's been like 15 years now. But when I owned my shop, it really didn't matter what you drove. We could fix it. Like if you rolled in, yeah, we can fix it. We weren't talking repair procedures. We weren't talking ADAS, pre-scan, post-scan, all the things.
Right.
And for the most part, it was different. Now we have very specialized vehicles, and people were different then, but I don't think many of us really understood the importance of dialing in who our consumer was, figuring out how to connect with them. So I've always been a good people person. So I always tried to anticipate the needs. Like you just got into an accident, you showed up here. I've got cookies. I've got some fresh coffee. I'm going to sit down with you. I'm going to spend time with you. Like you were talking about, like I'm here for you because you're in a stressed place. But then when we take it a step further, what you're talking about, now we're talking about anticipating their needs at a larger scale, because you don't get to meet that person necessarily to ask them directly. So we need to be anticipatory of What do they need? What are they looking for? Like you were saying, the Jeep owner. Are they looking for the certification? Are they looking for the rental? Are they looking for ease of use? Maybe if you're in a big commuter area, well, people commute into the city. So now I got to figure out if I drop this car off, how am I going to get back home? Do you offer free pickup, drop off, those kinds of things? So really looking at your area and the consumer, the people, I would say, the guests that you're serving is so powerful that most people would never even take the time to even think about. Because it's like, you got into a wreck? Yeah, I can help you. It's like, well,
Right.
let's dial it in a little bit more.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think another piece I'll touch on here is what's just as important as who you want to be doing business with, your target market, is who do you not want to be doing business with. So I'll give you a good example. I have no desire to fix a Tesla. Somebody calls me up, I've got a now, and there's where you want to be the resource, right? You got to have a great shop, and I'll refer them to a great shop. I know the owner, great guys, Tesla certified, but I want to play in that world. Parts are jacked up, and so so I'm really clear on who I want to serve and who I'm not going to play with.
Right.
And that sometimes is just as powerful. A good buddy of mine had a shop out in Sycamore, Illinois, and he stopped doing heavies. He wouldn't do a heavy. He had a shop down the street he'd send them to. Now he figured out his sweet spot. I think at the time, this is a couple years back, he's since sold, but he was between $2,000 to $5,000. If that repair was in there, he'd keep it. If it wasn't, he'd send it someplace else.
Well, you know what I heard? I forget exactly what the saying is. And I thought of this a couple of nights ago. So it's funny you're saying that. But it's by saying no to something, you're saying yes to something else. Because now you're freeing up the time for what you really want. Like they were trying to rope me into organizing the senior prom for my daughter's school. And I'm like, I'm going to say no to that so I can say yes to the little bit of sanity I have left.
And so that's very powerful. There's a great book by Jim Collins called Good to Great. I don't know if you've read it.
Yes.
But that's that same thing, right? If you say yes to good, then you have no room for the great.
Right. So powerful.
And what most people don't understand is there's big money in the niche, right? When you get clarity on who that target market is and you go deep in that niche, you will be busy and profitable for a very long time. But again, and the time it takes to go deep in that niche, you've got to say no. Like, for example, we don't do anything with substandard insurance companies. If somebody comes through the door, we tell them, look, we don't deal with them. If you'd like us to fix the car and pay the bill, we're happy to do that, but we're not going to do anything with the substandard insurance company. That's your issue.
Right.
I don't mess with it. There's a couple of insurance companies that I'm on the verge of stop playing with at all. Yeah. Because there's some laws in Illinois where they don't have appraisal clauses in their policy, and their policyholders are literally defenseless. So again, but these are decisions that you make as a business owner, and I'm not afraid of. And I think this is a big thing. If you play from fear, you're always shrinking. If you play in love, you're always growing. And so I'm not afraid of letting an insurance provider go that I'm not going to do work for anymore. Because again, there's enough cars for everybody. Yes. And I can't fix them all anyway.
Right. Exactly.
I can't.
And that's exactly right. When we are saying yes to all the things, it's because of fear. Right? It's right. Because like we feel the need to be greedy. We got to make all the money, because if I say no, then I won't make all the money I could be making. And that's such a fearful place. I've been there in business in my body shop and my marketing company. When I started, it was like, oh, I'm just going to take on every client. Nope, not anymore. So I operate from a different place. And that is key. Saying yes to everything means you're most likely operating from a place of fear. And why? And then the secondary question would be to dive into, what am I fearing?
And so this is where we go back to working on the business owner, but I will share this with you. One of my favorite questions to ask people is, tell me something you've worried about in your life that killed you. And I've actually had people fold their arms and tilt their head and start thinking. And then I got to snap them out of it and say, yo, you chucklehead, you've lived through everything.
Right.
You've lived through everything. And at that point, why worry about anything? And here's the same thing, right? In fear, you may know this, but there's the F's, right? Fight, flight, or freeze.
Rest, right.
Yeah. And so if you're into fear, then you're not moving in the direction you want to be moving in.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I tell my employees, one of the things, even if I take a little itty bitty step, if I move just a half an inch toward my goal today, I've won the day.
Yeah.
I've moved in the right direction, and there's
Right.
nothing to be afraid of because I know I'm headed where I want to go.
Yes.
I'm not letting anybody pull me off of that path. Not the senior prom planning committee, right? And certainly not somebody that's got, you know, a 25-year-old car with substandard insurance that really needs help.
Mm-hmm.
There's somebody that can help them, but that's not me.
Right. Right. How powerful is that? And I think
Yeah.
that comes down to what you're saying is what is the goal? I think maybe a lot of shop owners don't really know what their goal is. And I'm sure you probably work with them on that as well.
Well, yes, because I think there's a bunch of things that intersect with our marketing,
Mm-hmm.
right? I think one of those is vision,
Mm-hmm.
and I think one of those is core values,
Mm.
right? How are we running our business? How are we living our lives? When somebody shows up, what are the values that we want to share with them? How are we presenting ourselves with them? And one of our core values at Sharp Auto Body is love.
Mm-hmm.
Another one is fun. Another one's integrity, right? Another one's personal responsibility.
Yeah.
And so when we show up as that, how can you not win?
Yeah. I love that.
And here's something that's very powerful. I learned this. I had a guy, he came in, he wanted us to detail some cars. And detailing is another service that we do. And he's in a fancy neighborhood about 7 miles from my shop. And he wanted his cars detailed in his driveway.
Mm.
And so he had 5, right? And his son's driving a brand new Cadillac Escalade.
Mm-hmm.
And his wife was driving a Bentley, and he was driving a Rolls. And it was probably about a $5 million home, right?
Right.
And so I asked him, I said, hey, what do you do? And he said, well, I'm kind of semi-retired. I do some consulting. He said, I'm a turnaround specialist. I said, can I take you to lunch? Now, this is for everybody listening. I took him to lunch, and I showed up with a notebook and a pen, and I just started asking him questions. And he said, you're serious about this learning thing, huh? I said, look, now lunch, he wanted to go to a little family diner cafe. Mm-hmm. Lunch cost me $25 with the tip.
Right.
Right. And I had him for about 90 minutes. Mm. But one of the things he told me that I teach my staff and the people I consult, the business owners I consult with in the companies, he taught me 3 steps that he uses to turn it around. Because I don't care who you are in any business, you have clients inside and outside the business.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
If you're the body man, one of your clients is the painter. Mm-hmm. If you're the painter, one of your clients is the body man. Mm-hmm. But the 3 steps were this: think like the client, act like the owner, take action.
Say that one more time.
Yes, ma'am. Think like the client.
Okay.
Act like the owner.
Okay.
Take action. Changes the game. Now everybody's playing like they're the owner, and they're thinking from the place the owner wants to think. How would I want to be treated? How would I want my car fixed? How often would I like to be called? What's the demeanor of the person calling me? Think like the client.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think I preach that a lot because I find in the marketing side of things is shop owners and managers in general have a hard time getting out of their own heads because they're doing what they do and that's all they've done. So that's all they know. And then, it's this boop bubble that's where they're focused, right? This tube linear thinking. And oftentimes it takes somebody like me to come in because they're not aware that they're not looking at things through the perspective of the person that they're serving. They're looking at through their own lens. Like you got to put on a whole different set of glasses to look at something. Like, we have shops that I work with. They're like, I tell everybody we're iCar certified. I'm like, nobody knows what iCar certified is.
And they don't care.
They don't care. Yeah.
They don't care. But nobody cares that you got a frame machine that you spent $100,000 for that could pull a car in 2. They don't care that you got a downdraft spray booth.
Yes.
That's not what they, yeah, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I couldn't agree more.
Exactly. So it's like, it takes somebody, and you get to be that person for people. I get to be that person for people, is let's look at your business from their lens, because oftentimes we're so blinded by the way we see life. And that's just true in general for life. We go through life thinking everybody else sees it the way that we see it, and they don't.
So I love you. We could do this for about a day, but
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you a couple of things. One of them is that one of the things that we're blessed with in today's world is that we are no longer in a place or in a position where we have to do it all.
Mm,
And most body shop owners and business owners in general are still scared to ask for help. They're
hmm.
still think that they have to do it all themselves, and nothing's further from the truth. And
Yeah.
the fastest way to get ahead, I always look. There's a great book called The One Thing, right? What's the one thing I
Okay.
could do that would move me the fastest, the furthest? That's what
Mm,
the action I want to take. Well, I can tell you, to your point, they've got tunnel vision. They may know how to fix a car, paint a car, those things, but they don't know anything about marketing. But they
hmm.
have the luxury of coming to a Mickey and say, Mickey, I don't know what I don't know. I want to invest in you to let you help me grow my business and teach me. One of the things, I've got a new GM I was just telling you about. He's repeated to me, Louie, I'm coachable and I'm trainable. I always love to learn. And
Mm,
so we all have to have that mindset. I read every day. I'm going to read till the day I die. I go to seminars. I study. I practice. I do all of those things because
mhm.
we're all growing. You said something earlier that's very powerful, Mickey. If you, again, you're either growing or shrinking. So if you're
Right.
not changing and growing, then you're shrinking. It's not a
Mm,
question of if, it's a question of when you're going to be out of business. I read
yeah.
something really interesting recently that if you're not learning, in 3 years, you're going to be obsolete. Technology is going so fast. In 3 years, you're going to be obsolete. I don't care how good you think you can fix a car. 3 years from now, you're obsolete.
Wow. That's powerful. You're
It
not
is.
learning. In 3 years, you're going to be obsolete. That is insane. And if you think about watching how fast technology is coming along and how quickly we have to adapt and jump and learn on the fly, especially in our industry, I mean, things just show up and we're like,
Right.
oh, so the manufacturer created this and they don't even know how to fix it. So it's like we're constantly in a need to learn. Although it's interesting how many shops I hear from that I talk to that that still have this old school mentality of they're just going to keep doing what they're doing. And it's like, it boggles my mind. It boggles my mind. I mean, the people that listen to this podcast are not typically those people because they're
Right.
learning things, right?
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
but there are so many shop owners. I hear from them all the time. Like, I need help to grow my business. And then I start talking with them about what are you doing in your business? How are you operating your business? And there is zero learning happening. Let's just say that. It's frightening because they're putting lives into a vehicle and there's no learning happening. And there's
Right.
not been for the last 10 years. What? So I think the statement that you made, if you're not learning in 3 years, you're going to be obsolete. You cannot just sit back and wait that think things are just going to sort themselves out and you're going to be fine. You're just going to float
No.
through it.
Right. Or that it's going to be easier 3 years from now. It's going to
Yes.
be more complicated, more involved. There's going to be more bells, whistles, and gadgets. And the other part of it is, and I think I heard Mike Anderson say this, and I would agree with him. If you're not doing something now to start moving at least towards certifications, it's going to get to
Mm,
the point where it's going to be too expensive. You're going to have
mm,
to you're going to have to mortgage everything to get enough money to go buy the equipment, the iCar
mm.
training, the OEMs training, all that stuff. That ship's going to pass you by, and it's going to be too expensive. You won't be able to make it back up.
Well, especially when you look at the manufacturers only allowing a certain number of shops in their PMA, their primary market area. So if you were even thinking about it and somebody else hopped on, they're not turning anybody else on or allowing anybody else to get certified. There went that. So there's
Yep.
that piece too. It's kind of one of those things like shit or get off the pot. If it's something that you want to do and you think that it's something you want to do, what is stopping you? I think we need to start being, I know we all need to do a better job of being aware of the thought process because it's all the things up in here. Like you were saying, you got to start with the shop owner. What are these thoughts? What are we telling ourselves? What's the reality that we have chosen to accept?
Right. And I think that to your point, and here's where that narrow-minded tunnel vision comes back. And I love that this conversation's a circle in that when we talk about love and they go, oh, this is all woo-woo. Well, I can tell you, I started thinking outside of the box and learned things outside of a body shop, outside
Mm,
of what I grew up with. And then I realized that I had these fears. And I'll share
mm,
something with you that was very powerful for me, Mickey. I
mm.
was badly abused as a child. in
Mm.
every way, physically, mentally, emotionally, sexually, from the second grade into high school.
Oh man.
And but now it's like I'm talking about somebody completely different, and I'm free of all that. But I want you to know that I had this great fear of even facing it. And once I finally faced it, I realized, well, holy cow, my fear of being fearful of it was greater than the fear of just facing it. Right? Because we build this story up in our head that, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And the body doesn't know the difference between an imagined event and a real event.
Yes.
You know, people, if you're out, and you're right, we're probably talking to people that are forward thinkers and movers and shakers. But if you're not messing around with things like visualization, meditation, affirmations,
100%.
we have the ability to reprogram our brain. I don't care what you've been through. And I'm living proof. We have the ability to reprogram our brain, and we have the ability to let go of that fear and that anger and the angst and the greed and the jealousy and all the crap that somebody taught us when we were kids that wasn't the truth. None of that was the truth. We were taught that by a bunch of scared people themselves.
Yes,
but there's ways to get free of it. I'll tell you, there's a great book that I would highly recommend called How to Break the Habit of Being Yourself by a guy named Dr. Joe Dispenza.
Oh, I love Joe Dispenza.
Yeah. I don't know if you're familiar with that book, but that book is a game changer.
Yeah. Reading that book was, and I was already on that journey. And when I read that book, I was like, wow, okay.
Yeah.
It's just one of those.
Yeah. It blew the lid off the thing for me.
Yes. 100%.
Yeah, it did. Very powerful. Yeah.
So powerful. Gosh.
And this is how we do one thing is how we do everything, right? And so if you're brave enough in your personal life to step out and try something new and learn something new, then you're going to be able to do that in your shop. And you can now try a new marketing strategy or a new possibility or whatever it may be. But once you're brave, you're brave. And once you're learning, you're going to be curious to learn everywhere, because how we do one thing is how we do everything.
And I'll add on to that, it's the continued dedication to it, because it's very easy psychologically for us to go back into the ruts. Like we are creatures that want to go back into this safe, like that when we push our boundaries, it's not like you push your boundaries, you're like, haha, I'm here. If we don't continue to push our boundaries, naturally, psychologically, we will shrink. Like you said, if you're not growing, you're recessing. Like, it's something that if you really, truly want to change in your life, and I have experienced this, and we'd have to have another podcast to get into all that. But I will tell you, it is not just doing it once or doing it even for a year. It is consistent dedication to continually visualizing, manifesting, being hyper aware, and continuing to push yourself past the comfort zone. Because once the comfort zone changes, now you got a new comfort zone.
Right. That's exactly right. And one of the things that there's a great book out there by Darren Hardy, and that's what he talks about, is it's the consistency of every day.
Yeah.
Right. And we do it every day. And we may not see results in a week or a month or even 6 months, but a year from now, you're a different person. And you keep doing it, and 2 years from now, you're completely different. And one of the things that I love, the quote by Zig Ziglar. He said, learning and growing is like bathing. He said, we do it every day because we need to do it every day. You can't bathe today and then not go for the rest of the week and not take a shower or a bath. Because we need to do it every day.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah.
Well, and without getting into all of it, what took me daily thought, meditation, visualization, daily took me 5 years to achieve, and other things even longer. It's not something that happens overnight. It's something, and I think the key is you've got to be bought in. If you're not bought in, nothing changes, because you're doing it for the mechanics of doing it.
So I love you. We could do this for days because you're and that's why it's called faith. Right?
Yes.
If you have the faith of a mustard seed.
Yes.
Because if you believe it's possible, then it is possible.
That's right.
And one of my other favorite quotes is by Henry Ford. Henry Ford said, whether you believe you can or you can't, either way, you're right.
Right. Yeah.
And so if I meditate every day and think, well, just because I'm meditating, something's going to happen. No, I'm buying in. I'm meditating with my heart, my body, my soul. I'm connecting to whatever it is for you, for me, right? But that oneness is here for everybody.
Yes.
But you got to have the faith that it's going to work. And so when people say, oh, that's woo-woo, then don't bother me. Because you've already closed your mind.
Yeah.
You've already closed your mind that it's some woo-woo thing that doesn't work. But all of us that have been there and experienced and have had the life-changing events and serendipitous things like this is a great example, right?
Yeah.
How would this come across? Just because of the cocktail hour. I show up and then it's no secret, it's no accident that you and I, everything in the universe is energy. Einstein proved it.
Yeah.
You and I are vibrating at a very similar frequency.
Yes.
So there's no surprise that we connected.
Right.
And one of the things that I share with people is you can't get an FM station if you're tuned into AM.
Love it.
So now let's take it back to the body shop owner. If you're the grumpy, nasty, mean body shop owner, don't expect people that want to pay your bill, happy, successful people to come through your door because you're AM and they're FM. You're tuned to the wrong station, brother, and you got to show up completely different because once you show up, they'll show up.
Well said. I love it. I love it. It makes me so happy. Oh man. Yeah, you're right. We could just talk for forever. So we're definitely going to have to like get together in person. We'll be in an event and then everybody will be like, oh my gosh, they're talking all night. Oh man. I love it. Well, we've given everybody so much and I feel like I don't even care if anybody else enjoys themselves. I had a great time.
So did I.
Oh man. So anything else as we wrap it up today? I'm going to put Louie's information, contact information in the show notes. If you're even interested, because you know intuitively in your heart that there's more for you and you don't know how to go about getting there, and that's okay. It's a beautiful thing to know I want more and I'm not quite sure how to get more. That's where you start. That's where the beauty is right there because you're open to it. And people like Louie are here for you. So I'm going to put Louie's information in the show notes. Clearly an awesome guy, so much information. I encourage you to reach out. Even if you just want to have a quick minute to chat with him, obviously you can tell he loves what he does and he loves the people around him, which is so beautiful.
Well, thanks, Mickey. It's been an honor being here, and I'm flattered that you asked me to be on your podcast. To me, it's really a big deal, and I'm very grateful. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you. No, thank you for coming on. I've really enjoyed it. And you were talking about in the beginning that I keep hearing in my mind. You're talking about people that operated out of love, and those are the people that made the difference in the world. And I keep going back to that in my mind as we're talking. And I think that we can do that. It doesn't have to be some big global issue. It can be every day in our everyday lives with our family, with the UPS guy, with the grocery store clerk, or in our businesses. I mean, we get to change things. And we get to change our experience and the experience of others. And it's so beautiful. And you were listing off all of these wonderful people like Martin Luther King. And it reminds me, it goes back to Jesus. You know, Jesus was love, and he gets a bad rap for all of the things out there, and everything that he did was in love. And that's what he preaches. And I'm moved today by everything that you said. It's powerful. There's so much power and truth in what you're talking about. And I'm excited to get this episode out. I really am. I'm pumped to see what everybody has to say about this. And I hope that this is a great perspective shift for everybody out there.
I'd like to ice this cake because you just dropped a golden nugget. And I can tell you that you hit the nail on the head. We all have the power to change the world every day.
Yeah.
With a smile, a hug, a handshake, a kind word, whatever it may be. That's how we change the world. And there's no doubt in my mind that what right now you and I have just been loving on each other.
Yeah.
Right. And there's no romance, no sex. It's the kind of love that we're supposed to have for everybody.
Yeah.
And what I know in my heart is that right now there's a ripple of love that we've created that's going across the universe that people are feeling. That they might not be aware of it, but we have that power. And sometimes that's the most powerful thing we do is that one person. Yeah. Just that one person. Because we don't know, I call it the downstream, right? We never know the downstream of what they do with whatever we've given them. The love, the wisdom, the knowledge. We leave that to God.
Yeah.
Because because God doesn't want us to know because we couldn't get our big heads out the door because we'd be so egotistical. But we just trust that we show up and be love, be kindness, be forgiving, be patient.
Yes.
And I'll touch on this for body shop owners. Everybody that's ever done anything great in the world, they did it without violence. And they did it with a team. So stop beating up your team, because if you want to be doing big things, you got to have a team that loves you and you love them back.
Yeah. Great way to wrap this up. Beautiful, Louie. I love it. I love you, my friends. Thank you so much for today.
You're welcome. I love you, Mickey. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody. And thanks you for tuning in for this episode of the Body Bangin' Podcast. Make sure to hit Louie up. His information is in the show notes below, and we will see you guys next time. Bye.
If you enjoyed today's show, make sure you hit the subscribe button. We have some incredible topics and guests coming your way you will not want to miss. If you are watching on YouTube and don't want to miss the latest and greatest, you'll want to hit the bell after subscribing, so you will get a pop-up each time a video podcast goes live. To our devoted fans, would you mind paying it forward and sharing this little gem with someone else you think may benefit from it? Much love from all of us here at Body Bangin', all things auto body.